This is ABC 7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Hi, I'm Ray Collins. Alan is off this week. The investigation continues after a father accidentally shot his teenage son at a local gun range. It happened yesterday at High Noon Guns on Bee Ridge Road. William Brumby was there with his 14-year-old son, Stephen. Sheriff deputies say a hot shell casing fell into the father's shirt, and while he tried to remove it, his gun went off. The boy later died at the hospital. The range's co-owner calls it a freak accident.
He was one of these individuals that he was a good guy, teaching his kids the right thing, the right way, and evidently there's a freak breakdown.
The father is not facing charges, but the investigation continues. In Palmetto, police still look for the person who opened fire inside the Hall nightclub early Saturday morning. 2 people were shot, 5 others injured as they fled the building. Both victims are recovering. Sarasota police investigate a suspicious death at a home on Mecca Drive. It happened about 10 o'clock on Saturday night. The name of the victim has not yet been released. Detectives say it was likely an isolated incident. Efforts continue to build another hospital in Venice. Last month, state regulators rejected an application from Sarasota Memorial Hospital. SMH is now appealing that decision. They want to build an 80-bed facility in Venice. Venice already has a regional hospital. Now to Venice Beach. Controversy after Sarasota County locked up power outlets without consulting the city first. Outlets at the Venice Beach Pavilion are shut off in response to recent vandalism. The mayor of Venice says they were aware of the problem and working to increase police patrols when the county took matter into its own hands.
We tend to find out from the county what the county wants us to know, and the rest of it's just done. It's unfortunate. I think it's discourteous.
The city is discussing whether the county violated their interlocal agreement. And one more story from Venice. Taxpayers may see their millage increase for the first time in years. During budget workshops, the city agreed an increase could make up the $1.5 million in shortfalls. Fire and police pensions, along with increasing city health care costs, are being blamed for the deficit. To the north now in Holmes Beach, some say a lack of beach parking is causing some issues there. Some visitors are now leaving their cars on residential streets, and neighbors say the drivers often leave trash behind, and they worry the increased traffic could lead to accidents.
Safety is the #1 issue. You know, people don't feel safe when there's different cars out there, the congestion.
During Memorial Day and July 4th weekend, it's usually pretty bad to try to find a parking space here.
Mayor Bob Johnson vetoed a plan to require parking permits in Holmes Beach. Siesta Key hoping to cut down on traffic by bringing trolleys to the Key. The Village Association is set to meet with the Sarasota County transportation officials this week. The project is still in the early stages. Grant money might be available to fund a trolley on Siesta Key. Well, most of us love fireworks, but many pets do not. Manatee Animal Services say more pets run away on this day than any other day of the year. Some are frightened by the explosions. You're advised to keep animals on a leash while you're outside or in an escape-proof area while inside. Experts say simple medicine can also help their nerves.
You can give your dog some Benadryl. It is suggested that for every milligram, you would equate that to 1 pound in your dog. So if you have a 25 milligram tablet, that would be a 25-pound dog.
And wrapping your pet in a blanket can also help them as well. Though the racing is now over in Sarasota, the Powerboat Grand Prix continues tonight with the Bayfront Fireworks Spectacular. It begins at 9 p.m. in Bayfront Park. Organizers say the 20-minute show costs Suncoast Charities $30,000. And besides the Bayfront, you can also see fireworks in Palmetto. A show begins there at 9 over the Manatee River. Siesta Key holds its 26th annual fireworks show, 9 o'clock along Crescent Beach. Also, there are shows at the South Venice Jetty, the Minnesota Key area in Englewood, Northport High School Stadium, and the Sandbar Restaurant on Anna Maria Island. And AAA wants to make sure you get home safely on this Independence Day. It's offering a free tow-to-go service till 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. You must live within a 10-mile radius of where you call from. The number to call is 855-2-TOW-TO-GO. and some overcast skies earlier today. But now, John, how do the fireworks forecast look?
Ray, we did indeed have some nature's own fireworks tonight.
That's true.
Some pretty big thunderstorms were around. I think now we're going to see less and less of that activity as we progress through the evening. One of the reasons we had all of that activity was the warm temperatures that we had across the Suncoast. Daytime high today, 94 degrees. Usually we're at 89, so obviously a very warm day today. In fact, if you look out now over the Van Wezel webcam, you see, well, a little bit of clearing sky out there from time to time. So that's good news. Yes, there are still some showers in progress, and we will continue to see those as we head into the evening hours, but mostly they're going to be in inland locations. Currently, it's still warm and steamy out there with 88 degrees the air temperature, but the dew point so high at 76, making it feel very humid and sticky. So if you're going out, dress lightly, I would say. 86 degrees in Sebring, 87 Wauchula, 86 Longboat Key, 91 already in Bradenton at this hour, 86 degrees in Venice, and Inglewood coming in at 86 as well. There were the big thunderstorms down to our south, and now you can see one little kind of debris cloud producing a little bit of light drizzle, some patchy rain. That gradually drifting off in our direction, but right now coastline remains pretty quiet. I'd give it about a 20% chance of seeing perhaps a sprinkle around the area tonight. Here's one of our higher definition computer models, the RPM. We'll put it into motion. Watch that cluster of showers down to the south. Tends to dampen out as it moves northward. And I think that will be, in general, what we will see with that cluster of showers now down to our south in central Charlotte County. It will tend to dampen out. Not to say that you couldn't get a sprinkle or two, but as the evening progresses, there'll be less and less chance of that. Fireworks forecast calls for a temperature of about 85 degrees or so by 9 o'clock, and I'd say about a 10 to 20% chance of showers, closer to 10 than 20. Tomorrow, high pressure lifts north. That brings us a mostly sunny sky with even less rainfall in the forecast tomorrow. Under a southerly flow of air, it will still be hot and humid, though, and you can expect feels-like temperatures very warm right straight through the next several days. Forecast for the week ahead calls for, well, decent boating conditions tonight if you're out there to look at the fireworks, and then over the course of the week ahead, warm temperatures, less than average rain.
All right, very good. Thank you, John. Still to come, swing states make all the difference in an election year. So why is Florida's Trump campaign waiting until after the convention to ramp up efforts? That story when we come back.
ABC 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
They took that stress and that tension when I was particularly feeling very bad after that nasty car accident, and it was such a relief to know that I didn't have to bear that burden alone, that I had help.
Our goal is to not just get a satisfactory settlement on their case. We want them up on their feet, happy again. They've gotten their life back.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names. They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
Call right now to get your free Senior Care Compass ebook. Find out about the 5 best-kept secrets on financing senior care and assisted living.
Call now, 800-290-0352. 800-290-0352.
Well, the election now is about 4 months away, and some wonder why the Trump campaign has scaled back its Florida headquarters. A closer look now from our Adam Cellini.
These empty offices before the holiday weekend can pretty much sum up the presidential campaign activity happening at Sarasota County's Republican Party headquarters. And across town, Donald Trump's State Street headquarters has now shut itself off to volunteers. At Donald Trump's Florida campaign headquarters in Sarasota, these signs have recently gone up, saying the office is temporarily closed while the team preps for the national convention in Cleveland. Other tenants in the building say the hours at the office have been gradually going down since the Florida primaries wrapped up in March. When we asked local Republican groups about any existing campaign efforts, all roads eventually led to Trump's Florida campaign manager, Karen Giorno, who did not return our calls or emails on Friday. It may seem unorganized, but local GOP rep Joe Gruters says that is not the case.
We have had several organizational meetings as such. We're just not actively making phone calls on the presidential campaign yet.
Gruters is both chairman of Sarasota County's Republican Party and co-chair of Trump's Florida campaign. He says a portion of the recent inactivity can be attributed to funding.
When you're paying for a campaign mostly out of your own pocket, you do have to make decisions, and certainly budgetary decisions are an issue. So what happened is during the primary, the State Street was open all the time. After the primary, there's no need to have all of our staff focused here in Florida, so they were shifted out to other areas.
Former Florida House Democrat and political science professor Keith Fitzgerald says it's a dangerous strategy.
It's a real problem. At this point, usually you would see a campaign ramped up, well organized. You would even see field offices. You'd see integration of operations of local and national, and we just don't see that with the Trump campaign.
Another roadblock, realigning the party following a heated primary.
It is always difficult when you have an outsider win, because all the establishment guys, all the rank and file based grassroots activists, a lot of them work for these other candidates, especially here in Florida.
According to a recent CBS News poll, nearly half of those voting for Trump in Florida are really voting in opposition to Hillary. Frank Patty, who was a co-chair for Marco Rubio's Florida primary campaign, admits it's been his motivation as well.
At each point, you put your own feelings aside and you have to unify under the party. Otherwise, we're going to wind up with 4 to 8 more years of Obama.
And while waiting until after the national convention to campaign in Florida hurt Republicans in the last 2 cycles, Sarasota Republican Club President Rod Thompson is confident Trump will be different.
There's a chunk of the base that is super excited about Trump. And so that on itself is going to create a lot more buzz and momentum going into the fall.
So far, Hillary Clinton has taken an opposite approach in swing states. Her supporters already mobilizing in Sarasota County's Democratic Party headquarters. And through June, several national polls had her leading Trump in 7 of those pivotal states. But Gruters won't worry about the polls until we're closer to November.
So you can just toss them all, because this is a marathon, it's not a sprint.
The Republican Party of Sarasota is also dealing with a number of local primary campaigns, and Joe Gruters says that will continue to dominate the office's function over the next few months. In Sarasota, Adam Cellini, ABC 7, your Suncoast News.
When we come back, a chat with some local GOP leaders. Stay with us.
On your TV, on your computer, on your camera, on your smartphone, on your Apple Watch. And now you can get ABC 7, your Suncoast News on Fire TV. Just go to mysuncoast.com and click on the mobile tab for a list of fast and free downloads that deliver ABC 7, your Suncoast News on the go.
Is your old garage door stuck or broken? Would a new one give you a lift? Let Precision Door Overhead Garage Door Service of Sarasota come to the rescue with prompt and affordable repair service. Replacement doors come with an array of styles and colors, and they are rated to meet and exceed Florida standards. From estimates to installation, your satisfaction is our priority. If you're not 100% satisfied with any product, service, or installation, we will make it right, because Precision Door Service is a name you can trust.
Attention! This is an important message for anyone who had an IVC filter placed to prevent blood clots from traveling to their heart or lungs. Did your IVC filter move, break, or cause organ damage? The FDA warns that IVC filters may cause serious complications, such as heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, even death. If you or a loved one suffered serious complications, call IVC Filter Helpline now. You may be entitled to compensation. IVC filters are designed to prevent blood clots. If your IVC filter moved or broke and you suffered heart or lung damage, internal bleeding, or if a loved one died as a result, call IVC Filter Helpline today. Our network of experienced attorneys is ready to fight for you. You'll pay nothing unless there's a recovery in your favor. Call today for a free confidential consultation. Don't fight this alone. Call IVC Filter Helpline now.
Please call 800-897-6764. That is 800-897-6764.
For more on tonight's topic now is Christian Ziegler, a GOP state committeeman, and Rod Thompson, president of the Sarasota GOP Club. Thank you both for being here. Sure. On this Independence Day, let me lob you a softball right off the top here. What would our forefathers think about this election season? Christian?
They think it's interesting, just like we all do. But I think one thing that's clearly happened, at least on the Republican side, is the voice of the people's being heard. And that's really what founded this country. That's what they intended for everything, you know, the way our government was set up. And that's what we're seeing play out on the Republican side.
Totally agree that the sort of total free-for-all under, you know, freedom of speech and association and all that was part of the foundation and the Bill of Rights there plays out very well in this race, particularly on the Republican side, but yet it's sort of in the Democrat side with Bernie Sanders, too, where you have upstarts that are really looking to change the way things are. That's certainly the heart of our forefathers. They were changing the way things are. And both Sanders and Trump really want to change the way things are.
I heard an interesting quote that could apply to either Sanders or Trump. I mean, not Clinton, but Sanders. Somebody said, they exist because the mainstream politicians failed. Care to comment on that?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of frustration with Washington. There's frustration with politics as usual, talking points, staff-run campaigns, the consultant class really controlling the direction of candidates. And, you know, when you look at both Trump and Sanders, they're definitely unique and they're outside the norm of previous nominees. And I know on the Republican side, it's interesting because it's really energized the individuals that are in the middle, but also the very far-right conservatives as well. So we're really excited. It's going to be a fun year.
It's ironic we call Sanders an outsider. He's been a senator for a number of years in Washington.
Right, but he's been an independent senator, and he's really been totally ineffective as a senator. And so in that way, a little bit of an outsider. But also, he ran, you know, in the Democrat Party, starting as an independent, and he's always caucused with the Democrats, but he is an outsider as far as perspective and wanting to sort of upset the table cart that is Washington, D.C.
Some have criticized Trump about being a loose cannon. In fact, many have done that. And he said, no, once we get closer to the election, I'll stop doing these things. I'll stop tweeting. I'll scale it back. Is he able to do that? Is he going to pull it back at some point?
I don't know, and I don't know if he needs to. I mean, when you look at him, you look at the Republican primary, that was a difficult battle. There were 17 people that were running for that race, and he came out on top with Trump being Trump, right? So he might be more effective just being himself and just, you know, saying what's on his mind. And I think people are ready for that, and that's what's really tapped into and energized the base.
One of the most popular things about Trump is his lack of political correctness. I think that resonates with a lot of people in the Republican Party, but also a lot of people that are independents and sort of moderates and just only pay attention a little bit, who feel almost crushed sometimes by the requirements of political correctness. And Trump is just trampling all of those. So I think it would actually behoove him to just keep being who he is. People who want him to scale back and become more presidential, whatever the heck that really is, I think that'd be a mistake because that's not how Trump got where he is right now.
When it comes to choosing a partner in life or a running mate in life, you need to have somebody who balances you out. Some are surprised that Chris Christie would be on a short list, the governor of New Jersey, because he's also a Northeastern Republican, white male. Who would your advice be to look at for Trump's running mate?
Well, I know he also is just talked to Mike Pence, governor of Indiana, and he's a fantastic, he would be an amazing vice president pick. Really understands how Washington works, but he's also a very good conservative. So I really like Pence so far that I've seen.
They met this past weekend at the Trump golf course in New Jersey.
They did. I think it's really hard to tell who Trump might choose. Oftentimes, the political pundits are looking at it like, who could bring this state? Who could bring this demographic? Again, that is not the way Trump has operated. It's not the way he thinks. It's not the traditional method. I think it's still very possible that he could choose somebody that nobody in the pundit class is actually looking at.
If you could give him, and by the way, do you have any suggestions, any wild cards that come to mind at all?
Wouldn't dream of giving him advice on that point.
On one hand, would you suggest he find a establishment Republican? or a wild card?
I think somebody who can complement him well, and only he knows who that best person would be.
If you had one piece of advice to give Donald Trump, what would it be, Christian?
I think continue to go out there and communicate and reach out directly to the people. I mean, he's done a great job, like Rod was mentioning, where political correctness is really thrown out the window with him. He's not concerned with that. He's not filtered. And I think that's really resonated with people across the board that are just totally frustrated with politics as usual. So I would continue to just go out there, get that message out, state what he believes, and go directly to the people like he has.
Yeah. Obviously, to a degree, this election is between the way we do things and the way some people think we ought to do things. So I think in part, we have an establishment, a totally establishment candidate in Hillary Clinton, and we have a totally anti-establishment candidate in Donald Trump. So I think that he needs to maintain his separation from her, which is to say continue to focus on also her weaknesses, her issues with corruptions and scandals and whatnot, being a Clinton essentially, and then her unpopularity and untrustworthiness with people. If he can keep focused on the reasons why she shouldn't be president and then come around to why he would make the best one, I think that's probably his strongest case.
Yeah, when you look at him, there's a clear difference between the two. You had Donald Trump, who's created tens of thousands of jobs, and Hillary Clinton, who's never created a job. So really, as Rod mentions, focusing on that difference. And I think people are ready to see someone in office that has created jobs, that brings that business mentality and not that Washington mentality.
There are many Republicans, though, who say they like Trump's message and some of his ideas. They just wish he'd scale it back 10% and polish some rough edges, and then he'd bring in more voters.
Yeah, but when you look at Mitt Romney during the last election, I think he was a little too scaled back, and it didn't really energize people, and he was a little too reserved. And then, you know, after the election, he became a little bit more public and a little bit more opened up and was a little bit more personable. And when people saw that, they said, man, if we could have had that Mitt Romney during the election, he would have won. So, you know, there's always going to be people that are going to give you advice, either you're too scaled back or you're not scaled back, you know. And I think Trump's playing it right. He went through a bloody primary with 17 people running. He came out on top. Not only did he come out on top, but he set the record for most number of votes in a Republican primary. And I say he just continues it. And now he can pull in that moderate wing of the party that really is resonating with him.
You know, you mentioned the primary. I just got a flashback. I have a suspicion that if Trump hadn't run, Jeb Bush very well might be the nominee right now.
I don't think so. I think the electorate showed that it was ready for a change. I think it would have been closer to a Cruz, maybe a Rubio, something like that. I really don't think it would have been somebody's establishment, and certainly not with Clinton pulling ahead. I don't think this country wanted a Clinton-Bush race in the fall.
If you look back at the record, the history books, the number of times there's been a Bush or a Clinton on the ticket since 1980, most of the time, starting with George Herbert Walker as vice president, 80, all the way through. But interesting little trivia you can check on Google later on. What do you predict to happen at the conventions, Christian?
Convention's going to be exciting. It's going to be, I think, a one-of-a-kind event. Donald Trump's bringing his flavor in. He's going to change it up a little bit, so it's not really focused on politicians and political speak. He's talking about bringing in celebrities and other individuals in life that have really been champions in life, and that's kind of the message that they want to get across, from what I've heard at least. But right after that convention, it's really going to kick off the excitement, and from the convention through the election, that's when you're going to see the Republicans really excited to get behind Trump and out there making the calls and knocking on the doors.
Are you surprised or disappointed that more of the mainstream Republicans, Mitt Romney, John McCain, haven't embraced or even endorsed Trump?
Not surprised. Look at the way Trump ran his campaign. I mean, he ran against what they represent in the establishment there. He wanted to overturn all that. And I think that you'll see a lot of that on display, representative, metaphorically even, if you will, at the convention. Because what you're going to see is you're going to see a lot of entertainment. You're going to see a lot of, you know, paying attention to what's going on, not just political speeches. I remember so many conventions over the years have been just dull as nails for large sections of it. Even the delegates can barely stay awake. That is not going to be a Trump convention. So here's my prediction. My prediction is that this will have the highest ratings of any convention ever.
We'll see. You'll be there, and I'll be there covering it for ABC 7 as well. Do you think that the polls, are they going to change? Because right now, Clinton is leading.
She is, but we got plenty of time. It's still early. And again, once you get through the convention, you get a little bit of a bump. Hillary will probably get a bump after that as well. But, you know, she has serious problems when you look at the FBI. She was just interviewed by the FBI, sat down with them on Saturday. I'm out hanging out by the beach, and she's sitting there getting interrogated by the FBI. So as this plays out and as more details come, she's going to be in a lot of trouble. And I think you're going to see Trump's numbers go up and her numbers go down as we get closer.
I think it'll be close. I think it'll be real close. And I wouldn't really want to predict it for sure, but I think it'll be real close. The polls right now, it's too early. Not enough has happened. Too much can happen between now and September. FBI, the conventions, everything else. Too much can happen.
Long way to go. Christian, Rod, thank you for your time today. Thanks for being here. When we come back, some viewer mail on last night's show. Stay with us.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. Our promise means a new car you'll love. If not, return it for one you do. At Sarasota Ford, we promise live market pricing. We monitor national pricing on our entire inventory, so you get the best deal. In fact, we guarantee it. Bring us any competitor's ad, and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
This is a special health alert for seniors suffering with joint pain. If you have Medicare insurance, you may qualify for high-quality support braces at little or no cost.
I'm thrilled with my knee braces.
Now, there is a simple and proven solution for seniors to get out of pain with state-of-the-art support braces.
I barely feel any pain at all.
Braces for your knees and back, as well as your shoulders and ankles, too.
I'm so happy with the quality of these braces.
Call now, and you could qualify for a pain-relieving brace at little or no cost.
I can play ball again, and it doesn't hurt.
And because of my Medicare coverage, it costs me next to nothing.
So call now.
And because I have this red, white, and blue Medicare card, my braces have cost me just about nothing.
It's true. You may get a knee, back, shoulder, and ankle brace at little or no cost.
They qualified me for 2 knee braces and a back brace.
If you have knee or back pain, give them a call. They can help.
1-800-476-8967. 1-800-476-8967.
That's Chuck, proud homeowner, regular do-it-yourselfer. Today he's attempting an electrical repair. This is Pablo. He's an electrician with Mr. Sparky. How's he doing, Pablo?
Terrible, Mike.
Yeah. What Chuck doesn't realize is that almost 68,000 home fires are caused every year by electrical problems.
What?
If he doesn't have the proper tools and training, he's liable to start the next one.
Little help here.
That's what I'm talking about.
Call 888-8-SPARKY.
You might want to write that number down.
If you go to see fireworks tonight, you might notice the boats anchored offshore. While they add a certain charm to the area, some say they can be hazardous. In fact, last month, Tropical Storm Colin caused some of these boats to come unanchored off Bradenton Beach, causing more than $3,000 in damage to the dry dock. When the city tried to contact the owners, they found that many of the boats were abandoned or recently sold off. Taxpayers wound up paying for the damage as well as the cost of removing the boats. Here's what you had to say about that. Melvin Robar writes, they should be there. They should not be there, rather. You used to never see these areas full of boats. It's a safety hazard at night, and there are no repercussions when something goes wrong and they cause damage to others. Ian Eldridge writes, auction them off, give the proceeds to Moat and other local conservatories. If you want to join the conversation on tonight's topic, go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/news at 7. That's our time for now. Happy Independence Day. I'm Ray Collins. We'll see you tonight at 11.